Shout out to random subscriber, Amsba81. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show. Picture this. It's late at night. There's a storm going on outside. You can see the trees moving heavily and you can hear the rain slamming on the roof, which normally isn't a bad thing if you're comfortable with storms. But today, your job is to make sure that all the pots and pans that are filling up with water get dumped out. Every time that it comes close, make sure that it goes away, or else now you have rainwater on the floor. So one by one you methodically move everything, either dump it out the window, out the door, pour it down the sink or the toilet. Every time a bucket's full, if you don't get to it, then it starts leaking on the floor, which doesn't really sound as bad as the broken roof that's above you, but you still need to take that time to make sure it gets taken care of. Now this worn out roof doesn't sound like it's all that bad, except you're so young you don't have the experience or the true knowledge to be able to take care of it yourself. Now this is something that happened to me. Very young I realized that the roof isn't in great shape, but what else can I do? I'm just a kid. Now at a different point, our water system broke. I'm assuming the water pump stopped pushing up from the well, so we no longer had fresh water coming from the ground. We knew that we still wanted to live as close to a normal life as possible, so we decided to take 5-gallon buckets and we'd bring them down to the creek, fill them up with water so that we could make sure we could flush the toilets when it was time. When our time was to shower, we would take a garden hose and extend it, snake it across the roof of our house, and let the sun soak light and warmth into it as much as possible. So when we would have a shower, we would have a warm shower for however long that water would be inside of the hose. Again, it could be much worse. You do have a hot shower, you do have your own shower, and yeah, there's a garden hose coming through the window of your bathroom, but all in all, it could be far worse. Fast forward to today, this is 25, 30 years later, and I have a house that I can call my own. I'm living with a solid roof. I'm living with a water system that right now there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and I'm in full control of it. In fact, I have an absolutely wonderful family with 2 amazing children and dogs that I can appreciate and spend time with. Now, all of this isn't necessarily a part of my past. It's a product of my past, but it's not exactly how my past created me. Something else to think of is, it's not just me. There are many people just like me who grew up with a situation that they didn't care for, and they were able to rise above the difficulties that happened to them. A person named Eva Moses Kor, a Romanian girl, a twin of a sister. She was taken from her village and moved into Auschwitz. She and her sister were experimented on amongst many other children, mainly twins. They experimented on her and almost pushed her to the point of death. Now, many years later, she was able to spend time with her own sister. She has since grown up to be a mother of 2 children and is able to reflect on all the things that has happened in her past. One thing that she decided to do after watching a documentary in 1992 is she decided to find the doctors, find the people in Auschwitz, and forgive them. Now, she wasn't able to find the Dr. Mengele of the head of the experiments, but she was able to find a Dr. Munch, and she personally found him. She personally found him and forgave him. Now, it's not that she forgave him for him. She forgave him for herself. Because if she wasn't able to look inside of herself and say, this is the part that needs to heal, and this is the part that needs to move on, she would never be at that point and at that time. And at this moment, there is a memorial in Kentucky. It is a U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum for all of the Holocaust victims, for all of their families, and a reminder that we need to move forward in our circumstances. Another important figure from our history is Nelson Mandela, a lawyer from South Africa. He decided that he was not okay with the apartheid regime that was going on and taking advantage of many people, so he decided to civilly rise against it, at which point he was charged with leaving his country with treason. And even though he was pardoned from the leaving his country, they still charged him for years in prison. So for the first 18 years, he was in a cell with no bed, with no plumbing. He was given 30 minutes a month to speak with a person. He was allowed to write a letter once every 6 months. And even though he was being pulled away from society, he decided to make a civil disobedience inside of the jail. And that didn't make things worse, or didn't make things better necessarily. He was placed in solitary confinement because of his ability to lead and persuade people. He decided that he was not going to let others take advantage of him mentally. Even though he was inside of jail, if he was going to be the strong leader for others, he needed to make sure that he was taking care of himself emotionally and being the strong victor for others that looked up to him and the reason why they were doing it. Now, after he was taken out of prison, he ended up being the first Democratic president in South America. Now, if he took these things from his past 27 years, if he took those 27 years and said, you know what, I'm done. I tap out. I'm finished. I can't do this anymore. If he said that those moments, that it would be the rest of his life, he wouldn't end up changing the world for many people. He wouldn't end up being a leader for a country to take care of them. Now, we should make sure we are seeing our past as a memory, as a learning point, but not something that should control us. We should be able to say, yes, I did have a car accident. Yes, I did fall out of a tree, but this car accident shouldn't be the rest of my driving. Or maybe I should avoid cars entirely. I think that's a horrible direction to go. Maybe it should be, I should be more aware of the other people around me. I should be more aware of the environment or the condition of my vehicle. And falling out of a tree, I know I've done it numerous times, and I still continue to climb. In fact, I decided to take an occupation with climbing cell phone towers, reaching about 200 feet in the air. Yes, 200-foot tower is not a very tall one, but some people are afraid of a ladder. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just that we need to be able to rise above whatever discomfort that's going on in our lives. If you found this to be valuable, please feel free to share it with others. If you want more content like this, please like and subscribe, and click the bell notification below. This way, you'll get notified anytime that I put out another video like this. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.